Hi, everyone, and happy holidays. Welcome to the Seckman Jaguar Football Podcast. And with us today is the head coach of Seckman Football, Dr. Nicholas Baer. Coach Baer, so good to see you. Appreciate you taking some time out to talk to the Jaguar Nation today.
Yeah. Hey, happy to be back. A few weeks off here on the old podcast, and we're in a little bit of a holding pattern now before we get to Christmas break. But things are still happening around here, and happy to come and talk about them.
Well, great. I know earlier this month we put the bow, so to speak, and wrapped up the official football season. Wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us about what that night meant for you. Being the coach.
Yeah, the banquet's always a great time for me to kind of take the mic and really kind of give a state of the program and talk about the successes that we had this year, and all the positive things our kids are able to do. And then my favorite at the end, always a great opportunity to kind of send the seniors out the right way. And it's just a lot of fun. Everybody kind of getting together one last time, and it's something I hope everybody enjoyed. I've figured out there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to get done the varsity banquet in less than 2 hours. So somebody can remind me of that next year. But it's just a lot of fun, and yes, it takes a little bit of time, but it's minuscule when you compare it to the amount of time the seniors put in and the sacrifices they made. And like I said, it's important for me to send them out on the right way.
100%. And that's actually how this podcast started, is by you talking about those seniors and the individual plays and the contributions that they made to the team, either on a nightly basis playing on Friday, or maybe they just had that one opportunity and made the most of it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of really at the end of the day, that's the goal. When you have 25 seniors on a team, they're not all going to start. They're not all going to score a touchdown, but what role can we carve out for them on this team? How can they contribute? And then what's their play? What's that? I always want to try to give everybody at least one opportunity, one play to really define their career and have that moment on the field. And this was another year we got to do that. So.
No, it's great. I feel that you could take as much time as you need, like you said, with the seniors and celebrate their accomplishments, because it was a tremendous year by all
Mhm.
accounts. 10-1, that's impressive. And some of our boys, got the recognition that they earned.
Yeah, we had the all conference meeting before, and when it comes to conference, those are our St. Louis suburban schools like Oakville, Melville, Northwest, um, Webster Groves, Hazelwood West. So us in those 7 teams, I think we got 13 different players, on the first or second team. I'm a little partial because I always think our guys should all be all first teams, but very good honor. These are voted on by other coaches. I get the opportunity to talk about our kids, and it's just a great way for them to really get some recognition, for the hard work. I always say that, these are really team awards. I know they highlight individual efforts, but I mean, we don't get a seat at the table. We don't get the most nominations if we're not the first place team. So a lot of, even though a guy's name may not be on here, recognized on first or second team, they had a part, the team had a part in these recognitions. So
Yeah,
last week I just got back from the all district, all state meeting in the beautiful Lake of the Ozarks in December. I had a really good time, representing our boys. We came away with 4 guys making first team all district. Brady Ambrose, Tyler Jackson, Isaac Perry, and Dylan Lappy, and then we came with 4 guys, you know, getting second team all district, and Ethan Shamel, Ben Lewis, Isaac Perry. Oh, dadgummit. And
uh,
oh yeah, and then Connor Day got
Connor
first team
Day.
kicker.
Yep.
So really good recognitions there. This year, we happened to strike out and didn't get anybody on this all-state team, and for a 10-1 team, that's a bit unusual. For me, to obviously a little frustrated there, but in other words, it kind of really speaks to our kids and our football program. We're not necessarily a team of superstars. Eli Drinkowitz is not coming down here and recruiting any of our guys right now. We don't have Division I football players, but what we are able to do, we're able to come together as a team. Guys understand their role, and we're able to go out and execute. And that's what's made us a 10-win football team the last couple of years. So, where it's frustrating, it's also a little bit of a badge of honor. Like, okay, you don't think that highly individually of our guys, but our team is still able to do this. Kind of really speaks to our team aspect and what we're able to accomplish.
Yeah, 100%. Just to make the playoffs those 4 years in a row, truly an accomplishment. Because when you think about like the roster turns over, you get a little bit of consistency in college and a little
Right.
bit more in the NFL, but in high school, that roster is turning over quite a bit, Coach.
Yeah, and with the number of seniors we always have on the field, it's like you're always replacing somebody. And my mindset going into every offseason, it's not a rebuild. We're not rebuilding the program. We're simply reloading. I tell the boys, Seckman football is the Pez dispenser, and you are the Pez. And I'm just trying to find the Pez that's going to fit in. And, we're going to keep rolling. And, that's kind of already started. Plenty of time to go with the off season, but, that's definitely the mindset I always have. And, what changes can we make? Where do we need to be mentally? And are there things we can do schematically to improve? But, it's not a rebuild, it's a reload for sure.
Yeah, well, the playoffs continued after our loss to Jackson, and they wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about what happened in the various brackets after our season concluded.
Yeah, we talk a lot about us and our situation, and in Class 6, I think there's about 42 schools. And we made it to the top 16, again this year. And our district up here is right up here. You can see our loss there to Jackson, 49-14. Jackson would go on to play Kirkwood that next week and lose, for all things that, for what it is, the Jackson Indians played 1 week longer than the Seckman Jaguars this year. And really, Kirkwood was kind of the team that really surprised coming out of St. Louis. The same week that we lost to Jackson, Kirkwood took down a very heavily favored, CBC. Everybody's heard of CBC. Everybody knows, who they are and what they do and the talent. And, when we talk about us maybe not having Division I prospects here, we know that they have a few. So that was really good to see, with Kirkwood coming on top, as a public school in St. Louis. They're also pretty loaded. They got a very highly recruited junior receiver, 3 high-level receivers, along with, I think their quarterback might be like 6'5", 6'6". We ran into him at a 7-on-7, and he just looks a little different than everybody else standing up that tall. So he could sling it. And their head football coach Jeremy Macklin, former Mizzou standout, and then obviously a Kansas City Chief, and I think an Eagle too. Spent some time in the league. So congrats to them in their season and kind of how that went. And I think a lot of people always forget too. There's a complete opposite side of the state. when we're talking about CBC, DeSmet, Kirkwood, all these schools, there's a Kansas City side too, and they're pretty talented over there. Nixa came out from this bottom half of the bracket. Very talented school. They actually have the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Missouri on their team. Offensive lineman. He's about 6'8", 300. Mom was an Olympian. I think Dad was an Olympian. If we have any former Olympians that want to move to the Valley, I think that would help. Very highly talented group. And the least summits of the world, those are very good schools. And when you think of Kansas City out west, and I was talking with some of the coaches out there, they really only have one private school to work with, and that's Rockhurst. They're always very talented, whereas when you think of the St. Louis area, the amount of private schools that we have here, it's just a different look where it's more of a public domination out in the west. And then, when you come back to the other side of the bracket over here, as far as, DeSmet, obviously the eventual Class 6 champions, they played Pattonville in the first round, and, Pattonville pretty much gave them a pretty good game. And we've seen Pattonville the last few years, and, 48-31, that's a lot of points to put up, against obviously a very good DeSmet team. And Rockbridge coming out, that's kind of that St. Charles district. They came out of there. I believe their record was 11-2, very successful year as well. And Liberty coming out of the bottom half of the bracket. And then, state championship game in Class 6 came all the way down to DeSmet and Nixa. It was a good game. It was close, at times, but it almost felt like a game that DeSmet was always kind of in hand with. And, Nixa, the community, I think, around Springfield, I already told you, they have the Gatorade Player of the Year on their team and as an offensive lineman, just a special talent. And then, they build up around that. And, just a lot of good programs in the state of Missouri in Class 6. And, we're in the top 16, and we're right in that conversation with the rest of them.
Yeah, certainly a lot to celebrate with the success being 10-1 back to back. And like I said, it was close. And
Mm-hmm.
even I think the point can be made just for the greater Jefferson County area. I know some other programs in the last year. You think about Festus making it to the finals. They're a
Mm-hmm.
little bit smaller class than us. Hillsboro went last year. Not
Yeah, those
quite
are.
Jefferson County, but Valley Catholic, a team that we played week one of the prior year, was a runner up in state. So, I mean, it's good to see schools from this area succeed and have that visibility, on the bigger stage.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun watching these Jefferson County schools really compete. They're in Class 4, so it's a little smaller. Some smaller schools down there, but I mean, it's great. Hillsboro 2 years ago, Festus this year, and those are schools right down the road. I don't anticipate them ever really moving up to Class 5 or Class 6. I don't think their enrollments are going to go too big. Little different type of football, brand of football, but really fun. I know both coaches, and it's fun to watch those guys really compete. And make it to the big game.
I think it's going to happen for us one of these days. We'll get through the the bracket and wind our way. But no, appreciate you sharing your thoughts
Mhm.
on the bracket and how it all played out, especially with the Class 6. I mean, that's big enrollment, large schools, and again, just to make it as far as we've had the last couple of years, that's
Yeah, it's a tough road. I mean, you win districts and you're in them final eight, and when you're looking at those teams there, that's the top of the top, the cream of the crop, and we're knocking on the door.
exciting, exciting. So, also, you mentioned that you're making some additions to the weight room that you're looking to, honor and just keep in mind, the success from this year.
Yeah, kind of a tradition that I have, and something I like to do is I like to hang pictures in the weight room, and I kind of I call it kind of this, Seckman Stations of the Cross, kind of like a story of Seckman football and where we've been the last 6 years. And, I always try to add about 4 or 5 pictures, and each picture kind of tells a story. And it's fun for me. Guys will look at these pictures and be like, oh, who's that guy? Or, well, what happened in that play? And, I get to explain it to them. And, the kids get to see, well, there is a history here. We do have tradition, and I want to be a part of that. I want to do something worthy of getting my picture taken and putting up there and be a part of that. So, it's just a lot of fun, helps fill up the walls. And, I got to walk around that daggone place every day. So it's fun for me to look up and see some familiar old faces and just kind of think back to, this guy did this for us. And, it's just a lot of fun for me. And I'm pretty sure the kids enjoy it too. And, it's just kind of one of those things we're always waiting to see, well, what pictures is coach putting up this year? And I guess I'm ready to release that info.
All right, here we go. We got the premiere.
The first picture here, and it's a little cheesy, but I got a name for all of them too. All the pictures have names. I don't really have it listed, but they're in my head. This one here, I kind of think of it, it's kind of that, back in black sort of thing. And, black as night is really in my mind, what it means. Cause, we wear black at home in the playoffs. Well, home playoff games are not guaranteed. We've played, I think, I'd have to count, I think like 8 of them in the last 4 or 5 years at home. And that's quite honestly, that just doesn't happen very often. And it's a gift. And that's kind of what this picture represents to me. Playing in a playoff game at home, that is not a given. It is something that was worked for and it's earned. You know, Beginning of the year, we come out, we run out. What is it? It's about 7 o'clock, and the sun is shining. It's bright. We come out for warm-ups and the sun's shining. Well, when we come out for warm-ups in the playoffs, it's dark. It's night. And, that kind of really shows in this picture just how black it is, how dark it is. You could tell it's playoff time. And then really cool, too, obviously, we got some of our dudes sitting out front, Brady Ambrose, Jack Compton, Luke Steiner, Don LaGrasso, And, it's always fun to look at those guys. But really, in the back, it looks like like a sea of blue helmets. It almost goes on forever. Like, is it ever going to end back there? And you just see blue helmet after blue helmet after blue helmet. So, for me, when I see this picture, I'm thinking playoff football. I'm thinking about all the work that it took and the games that had to be played for us to get there. And, honestly, this might be one of my favorite ones from this season.
No, great picture, and I love that the sea of blue helmets. I mean, just to watch those boys, especially depending on where you sit in the stands, you see,
Right.
the guys coming out with the flags first, and then just a swarm of blue helmets come on out. It's exciting. You get the crowds into it; they're pumped up, and we know we're just a few minutes away from Sequin football. So how can you not get
Yeah,
excited about that?
no doubt.
Yeah. So looks like we have another picture here.
Yeah, this one here, I named this one "Football is Fun." Because it is, and sometimes you have to be reminded of that. And this picture here, Hazelwood West, offensive lineman / tight end Isaac Perry, scoring his first career touchdown. And he does come in with the Gronk spike, and that is a 15-yard penalty. I'm not celebrating that, but I am celebrating the celebration, the path of fun, right? I mean, you got sophomore Brody Kuby, he's grinning ear to ear. You got Ben Lewis, you got Evan Hufford, Chris Pohl, everybody's running to him, ready to celebrate because dadgummit, football is supposed to be fun. And, we kind of going into this week, it was actually a huge point of emphasis. We played Parkway South the week before, and if you wanted to say there was an egg out of our 10, our 9 regular season games that we laid, I kind of felt like it was that Parkway South game, and we kind of lacked that passion, and really, we forgot football was fun. We were scoring touchdowns, and no one was celebrating. Nobody was, everybody was walking off the field. Shoot, you score a touchdown, you be the first guy there to celebrate, be the first guy there to give them a hug. I mean, touchdowns aren't given; they're earned. And there was a time where we would score maybe 10 touchdowns a year, just because we're scoring 50, 60 now, 40, 50, 60 doesn't make it less special. And that's really what the point I want to get, across in this picture is football's fun. When you're having success, it should be celebrated. Please don't spike the football. But that's just what I see here, and it's a lot of fun for me. Some of these pictures got to be fun for me to look at too. I smile. I'll look at this one 4 or 5 years from now and just kind of smile. Thinking about the Gronk spike and where we were and how we got us here.
Fun game. And just to make, because you actually broke down that play on one of the podcasts, and you were
Yeah,
like, "Oh, please catch it," and it was just
yeah, that wasn't a guarantee either.
yeah, yeah. So no, great image, and that really sums up that team and that
Mm-hmm.
particular play. So just wondering if you have another. Looks like you have another picture.
Oh
right
yeah, I
here.
got a few. Don't worry, I'll keep them rolling.
All right.
I'm getting up 4 pictures and actually have two bonus ones this year because, I mean, why not?
Sure.
Uh, this one here, this is a picture of Defensive Player of the Year, Dylan Lappy. So the last one was called Football is Fun. This one's called Football Hurts. We're not out there playing checkers and chess. We're playing football. It's a physical sport, and great way to honor our first Defensive Player of the Year with in program history that doesn't have the last name Ashlock. And Dylan Lappy in his season. I mean, he looks like an absolute stallion in this picture, and just gets the Parkway South quarterback airborne and put his helmet right in his chest. I mean, football hurts, and this is a good reminder of that. And I talk all the time about lifting weights and eating food. I mean, every time I see this picture, it makes me want to eat food, or it makes me want to put food down our players' throats. Mass matters, and when you're playing the game at 150 pounds, 140 pounds, it's hard. You're putting on the mass, and you're going to be able to take hits, and you're also going to be able to give hits. And, that's kind of what I want kids to look at. Oh, man, I want to look like that. I want to be able to put the power in like that. Well, to do that, you have to lift weights. You got to take it serious. You can't live like a little boy. You got to live like a grown man. You have to take progressions. You got to take it serious. It has to actually mean something to you. Well, you have to eat food. If you're eating Pop-Tarts and mac and cheese and powdered donuts, you ain't going to look like that. And nutrition, something we'll touch on here in a little bit. That's really the next step, in my opinion. For the entire program, if I could get 70, 80, 90 kids eating the right way, 100 kids eating the right way compared to 20, that's going to make us better. And, over a 4-year period, these freshmen, if they do it right, it's going to put them in a good spot. So Dylan Lappy, football hurts.
Great picture, great picture. And you mentioned will talk about it here in a moment, but it seemed like the theme from the banquet, like taking care of the mind, body, and soul. And from all indications, he did things the right way, and you could tell from that picture, football
Right.
does hurt.
Yeah, that it does. Uh, this picture right here, I mean, they need to hang this one in the Lerv. It is just a beauty. We've talked a lot about defensive line play, and what it means at Seckman football. Um, this is it right here. I mean, this is I just call it Seckman D line. You want to play D line at Seckman High School. This is what it looks like. My favorite. Well, a couple parts of this picture look great. Obviously, you could tell every helmet on the defensive line. You got Lucas Steiner in there, Gavin Shreve. I see Isaac Johnson's helmet sneaking up down here. You got Luke Ferrario down on this end. Every one of our helmets is lower than every Pattonville helmet. All right, so number one, that's the leverage. Number two, okay, you can see all of our numbers are down. Our chests are down, angled downward. You stand straight up at D-line, you give an offensive lineman your chest, it's over. This is that perfect hit position. The Z that you see here, I can't tell you how much they rep this and how much time is spent trying to get guys into this position. And just a fantastic job by all these guys. And then with Steiner here, you see him. His hands are cocked. His hands are ready. He's about to get a hands-on and punch. So, really for me, I have a lot of kids come in, Coach, I want to play D-line. Well, we've talked about what defensive line looks for us. It doesn't look like big and slow. It looks like fast and athletic. And that's what we're looking for. This is what we need. And, I just couldn't find a better picture to describe it. And, my defensive line coach, I was showing him this picture, and he's like, he was just flabbergasted. He was amazed. He's like, that is the most perfect picture. And he's like, oh, can you make me a copy? So of course, I had to order him a copy. And, Coach Jackson, he's been coaching defensive line for 30 years. And, this will be one of the pictures that he's most proud of. I can guarantee that. So just a fun picture, fun to celebrate the guys in it. And, true definition of Seckman defensive line play.
Great image. And, appreciate you breaking down, what you're looking for in as far as technique. And again, we talked about that on one of the podcasts, what you look for in a defensive lineman. So great picture.
Yeah. So those are going to be the 4 that I put up in the weight room. This one here, this one's going up in the locker room. I mean, I don't know how great you guys could see it in there, but in the original photo, you can just see all the air, all the smoke, all the fog from all the heavy breathing. It's cold. It's playoffs. It's Jackson. And, our locker room kind of has an entrance, and then it kind of comes around and has an exit. This picture here, it's going up above that exit. I want it to really be kind of that last thing our guys think about before they come into the weight room. This moment, you are going to have at some point a Jackson Indian lined up across from you. Are you going to work harder than them today? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to be ready for the cold? Because it's going to be cold when that happens. And it's just kind of one of those things I want to use as a motivational tool to kind of make sure we're in the right mindset. And, sometimes it's hard when it's February 5th and you're in the weight room and you got to squat, 4 sets of 4 on squat. And you got to put 300 pounds on your back, and you kind of lose sight of that. And I know every one of our guys was motivated in this picture, and I hope this picture kind of motivates them, to get under the barbell and put the work in, because you got to make sure your body is right for that moment, because it's going to come. And, really, too, I just want to use it as a reminder of how cold it was, because I don't know if anybody's been hearing or having any complaints at home, but I've been taking my classes outside every day, whether it's 20 degrees or 35 degrees or 50 degrees, it don't matter. We're going out because we got work to do. And, I tell my classes, if the kindergartners are outside for recess, the varsity athletes can be outside, working and getting better. So, kind of that last little reminder of the cold, and you're going to be in that cold, and you're going to be have a Jackson Indian lined up for Crossview. Will you be ready? Will you put in the work? And so just kind of a fun picture, a little addition. I don't really have anything in that spot in the locker room, so I thought it would be a good spot.
Great picture and a great story, because it seemed like, just the air, as you mentioned, it was just a great football atmosphere. It's like when you think
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, no matter what level, this is what you envision in your mind's eye. And so
And that's what it all means right there. So it's really, if you could put a playoff game in a portrait, that's it. So, and then when you're playing it, who's put in the work, who's prepared the most, and who's going to go out and execute. So.
yeah. Any other pictures, or is that got one more?
Well, then, this one here, where you at here? Then this one here, every year I try to always get, well, not every year because it's not a given. This is that championship photo. And I have a championship wall in our locker room where I hang and all these are like 24 by 36. These are all really big pictures in the weight room. If you ever get a chance to walk by the weight room, you'll see them. This will be a big one. We have a championship wall. Right now there's only 3 pictures up there. This gets to be the 4th. Our 4th conference championship in a row, something that is not given, something that is worked for. And it's always fun for me to, once again, look at these pictures and look at the individual faces and kind of go back to, this guy was this guy was that. And, this is the picture that we'll use on our championship wall in the locker room. So a lot of fun. I think this was after we sealed it up senior night against Webster Groves. So I think it went all the way down to the wire. We lose that game, and I think we tie it with the Oakville Tigers. That wouldn't have been a lot of fun. So
Appreciate you sharing those, because it seemed like the overarching theme was, taking care of yourself, fueling your body in order to be in a position to, have that team photo like that. And so you mentioned this at the banquet and included this in your weekly email. Wanted to have you talk about the proper nutrition. The off season. You mentioned, I think, the gears of Seckman football never stop turning.
right.
So now, why not now start preparing for next season?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we do now. For the next 7-8 months, we lift, we eat, and we try to become better athletes and better football players. And we can't really go out there and hit the sled. This is how we get better and move our program forward. And nutrition is one of those key pieces. I always have guys that do take it serious, just not enough. If I imagine a team of Lucas Steinerts, of Luke Ferrarios, of Noah Isaiah's, guys that are always eating in front of me, and I know they're always eating the right thing, and they have their meal prepped, and they're this and they're that, and they go out and have the success in the weight room and on the field. And I really feel like that's where it follows. And I start all my nutrition talks with a disclaimer: I am not a certified dietitian. All right, I'm not talking about fruits and vegetables here, but you need them. Obviously, a well-balanced diet is what you need. And if you really want to go out and talk to a dietitian, someone that's certified and does this for a living, that's great. Most of my stuff that I have is from the internet and things that I've read and things that I'm doing with my son and things like that. Most of it's, obviously we know it, most of it's built around protein, and that's a muscle building nutrient. We lift weights, and the protein builds our muscles up and repairs them and things like that in layman's terms. And it's just something that, if it's not a point that you're making, it's something you need to be, because other people are. And I always start with telling the boys 5 meals per day, 3 big meals, 2 snacks. And what we're really looking to try and do, averaging about 30 grams of protein per meal. So that's going to get you about 150 in a day. And it can be tough to get 30 grams per meal. So, when we're talking about 30 grams, if you can get 10 to 15 for a snack and 40 to 50 for your meals, which is more than doable, and we've been talking about in class, you're going to be right where you need to be. And, we've kind of been breaking it down in class. We've gone through specific meals. We've already talked about breakfast and those ideas. Well, coach, I don't eat breakfast. Well, that ain't good enough. So we talked about a lot of grab and go options, things like that. The one that people normally kind of forget about is that second breakfast. You eat breakfast at 6 a.m. We want to be eating something again right around 9, and try to give them just a bunch of little ideas. That's where your little snack comes in, your 10 to 15 grams, a couple cheese sticks, maybe some beef jerky, a Greek yogurt, things like that. Doesn't have to be crazy. Maybe that's where you have your protein bar, your protein shake. And, when it comes to the protein stuff, what supplements, things like that, obviously everybody do their own research, but your whole diet shouldn't be based around that. It really should only be one meal or snack a day. Your diet really needs to be based around real food. So, these are just some of the things, some of the high points we're talking to the boys about. And, you know, if a player is interested in becoming a varsity athlete, getting to the next level, these are the things they need to be taking seriously right now as a freshman. And if they're a sophomore and they're not doing it, well, there's still time. We still got 2 years, right? And a junior, maybe, hey, I haven't quite taken it serious yet, but I want to get ready, rolling for my senior year. Well, we got 8 months. Let's suck out of it what we can. In my mind, I'm imagining a group of about 40, 50 freshmen now eating the right way, putting on the pounds, and being ready to go senior year. I always think, the difference between 150-pound safety, that could run a 4.7 and 170-pound safety that can run a 4.7, right? Obviously, mass matters. So it's just kind of one of those things where, we talk a little bit of how, the teams we play are going to keep getting better. We have to make sure we're doing the same thing.
And we'll put these tips and recommendations out on our site. And maybe this is something that the Booster Club could help you out with as we get into next season as well, as Coach. So
right. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not a certified dietitian, so if there's one on here that wants to point out a bunch of mistakes I'm making, feel free to email me. I could take it personally. All right, I know there's a lot of information out there, so I'm just an old football coach, folks. So, I don't need attacks.
I bet. But we'll look into that more. Of course, we have our social media channels. Please continue to monitor and like and subscribe. We'll keep pushing content out here. And the football season isn't over. There's going to be more updates, more podcasts. And Coach, with that, this is the last podcast that we're going to do together for this calendar year. So wanted to allow you to take us out. Give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, fun to get back together here and talk a little football. It's just kind of one of those things. You said it. I've said it a number of times. And the season's over, but the gears never really stop. I'm already, we're working on building a coaching staff, and I'll be reaching out to incoming freshman players, and it just there's always things happening and things going on, and it's just there's obviously a break from football, but everything behind the scenes doesn't stop. And your player right now, whether they're on the wrestling team, the basketball team, or they're not in a sport, what are they improving on? What can they be doing to make sure that they are prepared for next season? So I'll be doing my best to drag them all along and get them there. And I appreciate any help that I'm getting at home.
You got it, Coach. And have a wonderful holiday. Best to you and your family and the coaching staff. And we appreciate what the work that has gone into such a great season. And we look forward to connecting with you again in the new year.
All right. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.